What's up, my know-it-alls? We are diving deep. Okay, maybe not too deep, but we're going to go ahead and discuss Turning Red, the new release from Pixar. Now, this is one of those movies that it caught me by surprise. So my wife suggested I should do a review about something that maybe I didn't 100% love. Now, I did not hate this movie by any stretch of the imagination. So we're going to go ahead and talk about Pixar's movie Red. If you haven't seen it, please watch it because we're going to have some spoilers. But for the most part, I want to go ahead and start right there. So here we go. Let's talk about Red. Turning Red is the story of Mei Lee. She's a 13-year-old girl who's torn between being her mother's obedient daughter and the chaos of her youth. As if that were not enough, when she gets too excited, she turns into a big red panda. So that's literally the synopsis for this movie. Where do I start? Okay, well, let's start with the things I liked. So first off, I really thought the animation technique was great. There's a couple of scenes, specifically when Mei Lee is going through her transformations early on, and where she's trying to hide from people, and she's in the bathroom, and they do this pan around that is unbelievable. The perspective shifts nice and beautiful, and you see the fur is unreal, and the tiles look unbelievable. Again, wonderful. You can definitely tell it's the pinnacle of what they've been trying to do. The world that they created felt very lived in. So much so that I really appreciate, I feel like you could easily see more tales in this world. Well, I know that Disney's been doing some things with Pixar, possibly doing some more animated series in there. And I think if they sort of took the same approach that they do with, let's say, the MCU or Star Wars in terms of giving us high budget series, you could easily see a 12-episode little half-hour chunks telling an arcing story of this. Again, very lived-in world. Loved that. I thought this is definitely the height of CGI technique that they've learned over the years. I kind of mentioned that briefly at the outset. I, again, very much enjoyed the look overall of the whole thing. Let's go to some of the more fun, controversial stuff. I think the representation of puberty and the insanity that happens, whether you're boy or girl, is dead on. I remember, as an artist, drawing my feelings and drawing my emotions and drawing things, my fantasies, if you will, at a young age, sort of trying to figure things out. And this was dead on. I identified with that. That whole losing your mind thing, you're like, what am I doing? What's going on? How am I feeling these things? That whole like your head's going to explode, I really appreciated. So now let's kind of shift a hair to what didn't work, and then we'll get into some more kind of commentary. So for me, one of the things that didn't work was the animation style. That's why I made the distinction between technique and style. Technique is the execution thereof, and I think they did that exemplary. The actual, style, it kind of felt like a GrubHub commercial. I get what they were going for, but I feel like once you got into the nuance of the characters, I'm going to wrap myself in the mouth here. They look cartoony. It's a cartoon. What do you expect? Or a modern day version of a cartoon. But what I mean is, I don't know. I'm used to some. And I know it's a completely stylistic choice in terms of using sort of that jelly bean looking bodies and expressions and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I didn't feel like it served the story as well as they may have wanted it to. Next thing I didn't like was, so the supernatural aspect, which I believe stems from Asian myth and lore, coming from the some either Chinese region or that area. I don't know this particular myth and story through line, but obviously we're no strangers here in this side of the world to things like werewolf stories or transformation stories or Jekyll and Hyde type stuff. So family curses. Just look at Teen Wolf, the original version, not the TV show, though the TV show did the same thing. But the thing is, it wasn't enough. I would have wanted a lot more, and I feel like we didn't get that. So I felt like what they gave us was, hey, we need some sort of a phlebotinum or some sort of a MacGuffin to go ahead and get you from A to B in our story. Here it is. To me, that's sort of weak writing, and I would have liked to have either lived and experienced that more. I feel like if you do if you give us more of that through line, that hyper of what it's supposed to be, then I feel like we would have gotten an easier take on being able to go with them. Okay, so I'm trying not to spoil a whole lot of every single thing, but so later on, there's a part toward the end where Meili and Mei, if you will, and her mother's sisters, her aunts and everything else, they're all dealing with the aftermath of what's happened. And so they're in this sort of spiritual place, and it looks like a big bamboo forest. Very beautiful scene. Gorgeous scenery, very well done. But it didn't have the impact that I think they might have wanted it to, because we were so ingrained in Meilin's story, from the kids and her friends and this concert, and there was a lot of hype there, and I felt fully immersed in that through line. But then you had this overriding sort of supernatural story that I wanted more. I wanted more from, to pull me in more. As a result, it felt like extra, like it was superfluous. So again, I would have liked some more of that. I feel like the not spending enough time there was kind of to the story's detriment. The other thing I think that really didn't sit well with me, but that made me realize, well, no, let me go to my controversial hot take right now. If I don't get hate comments about this, I'll be surprised, but I'm going to jump in. I think this is absolutely the right decision to have this be on Disney Plus. Have nothing to do with representation. I love these stories. I enjoyed Crazy Rich Asians. I enjoyed Shang-Chi. I enjoyed the living in this world of this Asian culture. I'm a big fan of it. This has nothing to do with that, and everything to do with the story overall was kind of weak, though I liked what they did. The supernatural aspect was kind of weak, though I like what they did. The animation itself was sort of not up to snuff with it didn't seem unique enough. And I feel like the last place you want to borrow your inspiration from is from modern day animation trends, which are happening in corporate America, which I don't think that was the case, but corporate America may be buying a little bit too much into that look, because now when you try to use that in this animation, it felt lost in translation, if you will. So again, we've seen the coming of age story. But we haven't seen it through this lens. Okay, fine. Then you need to immerse me in that lens. And I didn't feel immersed in the lens. I love the fact that she's a Canadian girl as well. So you had that whole cultural aspect at the same time. Again, I think they sold the young teenage girl story very well. And I'm not in the, Facebook mom groups where they're freaking out about whatever. My 16-year-old did say she thought it was hilarious that they used a red panda as the stand-in for women's issues and the monthly issues and whatnot. I'm trying my best to tiptoe here, people, because that's how she took it. She took the red panda as an allegory of that. And maybe it was supposed to be. I don't know. I make no judgments. And so again, this one gets probably my lowest rating yet on a thing, which is 7.5 out of 10 on the Know-It-All Index. Why? I felt like everything that was good and balanced out, that's the curve. I think when you grade on the curve, that's what you have. I think the story itself could have been stronger. I think the connecting points could have been stronger. But overall, it's a fun movie. And I think it's perfectly placed on Disney Plus, and you should absolutely check it out. Please go watch it. If nothing else, I had a couple people on Facebook telling me that they felt like this is definitely a sit home with your kid, or maybe your kid's homesick or whatever. You're just taking the day off and you want to relax and watch something fun with your kids. This is definitely the thing to do. I don't necessarily know. I had another friend of mine who on the other side said that this introduced a whole lot of uncomfortable stuff. He's a single dad, and that he suddenly had to talk about. I don't know that that's a bad thing. So I don't know that that's going to be the defense for some people, because I'm like, hey, you know what? Uncomfortable conversations happen. But I am kind of looking more forward. Pixar always tells us a little bit about ourselves, and I felt like this was a safe movie. I know everyone's like, there are people who are talking about, oh, with this or that or the other. This was a safe movie, period. So there you go. Now you know. And if knowing is half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. Leave a like. comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, like, subscribe, and hit the little bell notification icon so that you can be notified when new content drops. Love to hear your take on turning red. Did my review make you turn red? Or were you either by embarrassment or anger? One of the two. But there were definitely cringy parts. But I tell you what, overall, you're going to have fun with this. I had a good time. Am I going to watch it again and again and again? I don't know that it bears repeat viewings, but I definitely watched it the first time and had a really good time with it. So I think you will too. Don't forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. See you next time.